Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I'm okay, down at the garden. It's Jubilee weekend, Jubilee bank holiday, whatever. Anyway, my first job today is, oh good grief, like everything this year, late. I'm going to do some harvesting and it is well overdue. It's my first harvest of this year. Woo! And that's the last time I'm going to say, oh, excuse me, sneeze. Oh, hello, Rosie. It's all gone a bit chaotic. Oh, little Rosie. So, just when Rosie's getting confident and comfortable with me, I'm leaving. So today's harvests, the main two are the broad beans and the garlic. Now the broad beans, some of them are going to be big and tough, but once they're second skinned they'll be fine. The garlic, the reason I'm saying that's late is that for some people, what's the date today? I think it's the 2nd of June. For some people that wouldn't be too late. Some people will harvest their garlic right into July. However, on our lovely London clay, it doesn't do well being left in the ground. I mean, Clay she's on her back, just putting her little paws in the air. She's so cute. Rosie, I need to concentrate a minute. We're talking to the lovely people. Yes, on our London clay, it just doesn't do well to stay in the ground. And going back a few years, I think maybe sort of 6 or 7 years, I remember taking my garlic out second week of July, like other people do, like a lot of my friends in France do, and it was just all rotted. It's all got white rot. And so as each subsequent year has gone on, I've brought that harvest date forward. In fact, it's more than that. It's probably about 9-10 years ago that I first had the white rot. So as each year's gone by, I've brought that harvest time forward, and I reached the point where I was harvesting it in the last week of May, and that seemed to be just about spot on. So I was prepared to harvest. I was about to harvest at the end of the second week of May. I'd finished a session here and I just thought, oh, I'm too whacked to do the harvest now. I'll come back and do it tomorrow. And that was when 2 weeks of rain started. So we've had a ton of rain in the last 2 weeks. Great for the ground, of course, not so great because of slugs, and not so great for garlic. And the thing is, a lot of it hasn't been forecast. So there have been so many days when I've been about to step outside, come out the door, I've checked the forecast that morning, no rain, and then within half an hour, oh, downpour. So as far as the garlic go, I am not holding out much hope for them. There might be 1 or 2 that are okay. They've got to come out anyway. So we'll do that and I'll show that to you as they come out. With the broad beans, obviously pick. And I'm going to select my seed saving plants. Now, that might sound mad. Why are you saving seeds, Vivi, if you're giving up the garden? 2 reasons, maybe 3 or 4. 1, I'm thinking I might plant them in October, and then at harvest time next year, even when I'm not here, whoever has taken over the plot, there'll be something ready for them to harvest. Yay! Realistically, I think by the time we get to October, I might just be done and not wanting to spend time planting a crop for someone else. I mean, it's kind of not a very sensible use of my time. But I want to save seed anyway because A, I can then give that to other friends because I seem to grow really great broad beans here. And, you know, I'm holding out hope that when I move, I'll end up with a little bit of a garden. Maybe there's space for 1 broad bean plant, who knows. But yeah, I want to keep my own personal seed library going. And it may end up that I put them all into the freezer and ignore them for a while until I can find a suitable candidate. So when we're doing the broad bean harvest, I'm going to talk about my choice of plant for seed saving. Then if there's time, I'm thinking I should probably start harvesting the lemon balm. It's gone rampant. There's a tiny bit more rhubarb. Yes, so let's just, oh, actually, just before we go out there, I've had a gift. Thank you so much to Tony. Absolute sweetheart. I haven't counted them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, 16, 18, 20, 22. It's 24 of them. Tony, you are so naughty. Thank you. Tony has gifted me. This turns my face green. These are the slug collars, the little halo type things that the girls next door have got that I was showing you t'other week. Let me undo one. What fantastic timing, because actually if there are 24, I can't get the sellotape off for a minute. The plant gets planted in here, slugs crawl up the side, can't double back themselves on that lip, plant is safe. I'm going to use these for all of my squash. Fantastic. Yay! Tony, thank you so much. Now the other thing, just to say very quickly, there's quite a lot of catching up and things to do. Obviously we're still having a little bit of fallout from my video the other day. Someone was asking me about, you know, all my kit, all my equipment, the shed. What will I do? Am I going to sell everything? Am I going to give everything away? What I'm hoping to do is take all my gubbins and kit with me. So that, yeah, if I've got a bit of a garden, I've been bitten. I've only been in the garden 2 minutes, I've been bitten. So if I get a bit of a garden, I've got equipment. Now, you know, if I've got a really small garden, a little courtyard with just pots on it, there's a lot of my equipment I won't need, my nets, my big fork, all those things. So, but once I know what I'm getting, then I can think about some stuff will be giveaway, some stuff will be sell, but that's I can't decide any of that until I actually know which property I'm going to. But yeah, I'm going to keep everything and then disseminate it later on, either gifting or selling. So for instance, something like these from Tony, if I do get a bit of a garden, there's a plant I really, really love and I'd love to grow, and that is hostas. I really like hostas. So I was thinking in the spring, these would be great for putting around the emerging hostas to protect them just while they get going. So yeah, everything, you know, over the years, you have all been so kind and lovely and sent me things for the garden. Like the orange trug. Actually, I'm not going to start listing because I'll forget something and then someone's going to end up offended, upset, hurt, whatever. But there's so much in the garden that has come from you. I'm so grateful for all of it. And yes, I will hopefully continue to use a lot of it. And that I can't use, I will give some things to friends. I might even sell some bits and pieces. As for the shed, itching my shin, I don't think it's going to be worth taking. Firstly, I don't think I'll have a garden big enough, but also because of all the built-in stuff, it's just going to be a nightmare to dismantle. So one of the plans this summer is that I do it up, I give it its paint job, get the roof fixed, and then hopefully I can sell it to whoever takes my plot on. That's normally what happens here when someone leaves a plot and they leave their shed, they sell it to the person coming in. When I first got this plot, it was a really, really dilapidated shed, ridiculous. But I still bought it. I think it was he charged me 50 quid for it. Had a few tools and bits and pieces in it, and you know what? It did fine for those first sort of 5 years or so that I was on the plot. It was okay. It just about did. But yeah, that's how it how it goes here historically, is that the incoming person buys the shed from the person who's leaving. And obviously, this is way more than just any old shed. So hopefully, yeah, it needs doing up, but hopefully I'll maybe get a couple of 100 quid for it. It cost a lot of money. I got it on sale. It should have been £750. I got it for 500. The only reason I got it was because I had a tax rebate from, it was my first year working at Great Ormond Street, but half of that year I had been a student. So when they taxed my pay, they taxed it assuming I'd been paid that for the whole year. Of course, it was only half a year, so I got a fantastic rebate, and I thought, yes, now's the time to invest in a good shed. So I'm really glad I did. The rest of it, all the fit out of skips. But yeah, hopefully I can get a little bit of money back for it. Right, that's more than enough shed chat. I think you're wobbling, aren't you? It's because Rosie's going on the tripod. Let's go and see, well, I was going to say how bad the garlic is. Let's go and see how good the garlic is. Come on. Okay. Just going to use my hoi knife to hopefully just prime them up. I'm not going to take the mulch off, disturb the mulch at all. That will stay there for the next crop. Here's the weird thing. This is how late everything is this year. Normally, after the garlic come out, I straight away put in the Cavallo Nero kale. My Cavallo Nero, they're like that. So the bed's going to be empty for a little while. But just taking the first one out, and I'm checking for the telltale signs. I can't see any. You sort of see enormous sort of, up there, white, powdery, fluffy stuff. That's the white rot. And it looks like, well, number one, the first one out is rot free. Oh, that beautiful smell. This is, oh, the smell. That soil being disturbed, the soil slightly damp. It's just wonderful. Sorry, that one looked okay as well. Oh, have I just stabbed the actual garlic? Oh, and the garlic. Oh, my goodness. Top 4. Oh, very strong. Whoa, that's pungent. That's what I like, is over the years, my garlic have never been massive, ever. But they're always really, really strong tasting. So strong that where, like a shop bought garlic, I might use 3 cloves. With my own garlic, just 1 clove. So look, they're not exactly the most beautiful specimens, but they've cloved up, as in, you know, they've split into individual cloves. Great. They smell fantastic, and so far, no rot. Okay, it's going to take me an age to do this whole bed. So I'll get on with it, and then once it's all out, I'll show you the crop, and then, sorry wormy, go back, right, rot. Let me show you, you can see it now. It's not too bad, so I should be able to just clean this off and get it used, but I wouldn't want it for storage. Do you see that there? That's the rot. I need a separate pile for my rot ones. But yeah, I'll get them all out, and then of course put my shed drying rack into use. So that can flop down for the first time this year. Yes, so where the ground is wetter, rot. It may be that the ones near the edge of the bed where the drainage is slightly better will be okay, and the ones in the middle won't. We'll see. I will. Oh la la! It doesn't want to come out. Yeah, clean one. Right, let me get on, and then I'll show you when I'm done. Where are you off to, buddy? You're just going to sit there, aren't you? Guard the garden. The obligatory walking back to the shed with a harvest shot, and you can probably tell from my face that I'm quite pleased. I'll show you now, 1, 2, 3, 4, I had 6 with a bit of rot, only a tiny amount. I'll clean them off and I'll use them straight away. And then this lot, let me show you. Whew. So there they are. I'm quite pleased. So like I was saying as I was digging them up, you know, they're not, these kind of show the variation. They're not massive, they never are, but they are always very, very, very strong. So I can't remember how many I planted. I think I planted 80, minus those 6, so maybe 74. So look, it looks like that should be 1 garlic a week for the next year. Woohoo! Now I have to think about getting them dry, and for that they're going to come into the shed and into the drying rack. They're in the drying rack. Now, in the past I've stood you outside, doors wide open, to give you a shot of all this, but at the moment I've got a load of pots of beans on the stoop, so I can't open the other door. And I'm doing this amidst all the cats. The cats are going bonkers today because they're getting plenty of love and cuddles from me, but they're not getting any nibbles today. I have to wean them off me. Right, so the idea with the drying rack is, it's like a sort of chicken mesh, it's narrower gauge than chicken mesh, is to put all the garlic in with their, I was going to call it plumage, should we call it plumage? With their plumage hanging down through, just to dry them off, get them really dry, and they store better. For now, I've got quite a lot to do today, so I'm not going to actually do that. I'm just going to lay them on the top. The thing about the shed is it's always, you know, I was going to say it's always really dry, but I've got a blooming hole in my roof, but the water seems to be going that way, so they'll be all right. Just initially get them dry, and then when I've got a bit more time, I could turn them upside down. And what will happen with them, rather like with the onions, is as they dry, the neck will get tighter and tighter and tighter, it shrinks, and it sort of forms its own seal. But the idea of sort of doing them like this initially is so that sort of any excess moisture there, it can sort of just drain back down through the plumage. Now, at this stage, I haven't done anything by way of trimming or any of that kind of care. All I've done is knock off the worst of the mud and just leave them alone to dry. They will dry fairly quickly in the shed, I'd say, depending on temperatures and weather, but I would say in 3 or 4 weeks they'll be dry. I'm not going to bother plaiting them, stringing them, it's too much faff. I'll just, when they are dry, they'll simply hang in one of my turtle bags, one of my cotton string bags, and they'll actually stay in the shed. They'll be perfectly fine here. What you don't want to do, especially, you know, you make your lovely plait of all your garlics in together and they look gorgeous, of course they look beautiful, is to then think, oh, I'm going to store that in my kitchen, I'm going to hang it on the kitchen wall because it looks so lovely, and oh, a little bit of rustic charm. That's absolutely the worst place to store them, because your kitchen is humid, well, you know, from cooking, from people, our bodies, from washing up, etc., etc. And that humidity, that kind of warmth and moisture will encourage them to sprout much earlier than they would if they were kept bone dry. Just keep them somewhere dry. And over the winter it's great in here, it's cool and dry. So yeah, for now they're just going to lie on the top of the mesh, and let's see where I've been bitten so many times today. We are now, it's the first week of June, and I think I'm just trying to think timing of things, because obviously I'm thinking about the onions for a minute. They went in mid-April. Normally I'd get them in by the end of March, beginning of April, so they will, I think they're going to be harvesting a couple of weeks later, again slightly weather dependent, but I think they won't, I don't think the onions will be coming out before the middle of July. The reason I'm doing this thinking aloud is because then the onions will need to come into the onion drying rack. I call it the onion drying rack, but of course at various times in the year it's a different crop that's drying. So with the 6 that have got that slight bit of rot on them, they're not going to come anywhere near these. These are precious. They will come home with me today. I'll get them cleaned up and use them pretty quickly, and if I'm not going to use them, I can just mash them up a bit and freeze them. But they just, like I said in the garden, they're just not going to be suitable for long-term storing. If there's one thing I've sort of reiterated over the years, it's that thing about storing. You want to store your absolute best produce, your blemish-free produce. We don't want things with bruises. We don't want things with cuts. We just basically don't want anything that's in any way damaged, even to start with, to be stored, because it won't store. And one rotten apple, blah, blah, blah. You store that with all your other good produce, that rot will spread. So with anything that you're going to be storing this year, just check. I'm talking about things which, I'm not talking about obviously tomatoes, because with our tomatoes we'll be chopping them up, blitzing them up. Oh, there go the cats. You know, any bruises or nastiness we'll chop out at that stage. But anything that you're storing whole, so squash, onions, garlic, apples, all of that kind of, whatever you're storing whole, check it. And then throughout its storage life, keep checking on it. Do you remember, I don't know if you remember, did I show it even, that where I'd had my onions hanging here, I thought I'd been checking quite carefully, and I'd missed one right on the back. It had gone hinky and it was starting to go to everything else. So yeah, check, because this stuff is precious, isn't it? Oh la la. Now, I'm going to just finish this and then, well, actually I'm going to finish this. Now the problem is, I wanted to show you the broad beans and harvesting and seed selection. However, suddenly the site's got really busy and it's going to be almost impossible to film without getting other people in shot. And they're not people that want to be in shot, that's absolutely fine. I completely respect everyone's privacy. So I might do a bit and then, I might do the harvest, bring it back to the shed, and then we can talk about it here and the seed saving. And then there's a couple of other things I want to harvest today. But first, let me finish the garlic. Now, the knack to harvesting your broad beans, I hope you can see, is get hold of the stem of the plant, just to support it a bit, and then pull the beans down. Just pull them down, a firm tug, they come off. That's especially, useful to do if you're not taking the whole plant out just yet. You've got more harvest to come. It just keeps the plant going. If you just try and pull them off, sort of upwards or without supporting the stem, you are highly likely to snap the stem completely, pull the stem off as you're trying to get the bean off. So yeah, just hold the stem, support it, and a sharp tug down, and off they come. there's a lot to do, and I suddenly thought, actually, there's so much harvesting, there's so much to pick, that I might have to slightly rethink my day. This is something you have to do in the garden from time to time. Rethink my day so that I can get these all processed, get them home, podded and frozen. I might do that. Just say very quickly, just while we're in this tight little space without anybody else in shot, is in terms of the seed saving, I've selected 2 plants further up the bed which have been the strongest looking all season. They grew really well ahead of everything else. They've produced a lot of pods. All the pods look really healthy. So that's how I'm sort of making my selection process. 2 plants should give me plenty of seed to either sow again this year or for stock for future years. Oh, it's getting warm. Right, I'm going to put you all away for now, and then I'll see you back at the ranch with the harvest. Well, that's a pleasing little pick. I think that's about half of it off. Some of the others are a bit smaller, they're still coming, so I'm going to leave them, oops, sorry, wobble you. I'm going to leave them to grow a bit more. Now, because, again, things are slightly different this year. Normally, look at this one, by the way. I snapped it as I was taking it off, but, I mean, woohoo! What's that? That's got to be a foot long. And it's a bit big, and like I was saying, that they're going to be a bit tough when they're this big, but if I double skin them, by that I mean pod them, get them out of the pods, and then when I cook them, the outer skin will go grey and shriveled. Take the outer skin off, and inside, that beautiful emerald green sweetness just waiting. So yeah, normally when I harvest my broad beans, I'll pick a few fresh over a few weeks, and then there comes a point today where I have the lot out, all the beans and all the plants, whatever state, however big or small they are, apart from a couple of plants for seed saving, get them all out, because then I will be immediately filling that bed up with another crop. In the case of the broad beans, it would be my red kale. But just like the Cavallo Nero following on from the garlic, my seedlings are that big. So there's no hurry to get these plants out. They can stay in another 2 or 3 weeks. I'll do the final harvest, maybe, well, we'll see how the kale seedlings go, and it might be that I do the final harvest in 2 or 3 weeks, get the bed emptied and get the kale in. Whoa, good stuff. That's a lot of podding to do at home now. Oh, good stuff. I'm really happy with both those harvests today. Now, there's more for me to do. I'm going to stay a little while, but 2 things. One, by the minute the site is getting fuller and fuller and fuller, and I'm not surprised. It's a 4-day bank holiday weekend here in the UK to celebrate Queenie. She's been on the throne for 70 years. She needs to get some Dulcolax. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Anyway, it's making it impossible to film because there are people everywhere, and that's lovely. So yeah, turn the camera off and enjoy the company while I continue to do a few things. But the other thing is, I don't know if you could hear me upside down. Oh, Rusty. Upside down. By the way, he's doing so much better. He's really healing over. His fur's coming back. He's got a couple of a big scab here and a big scab here, but doing so much better. I think he's getting a bit arthritic-y though, because he's quite tentative, as he is now, to jump down, and he's quite tentative to jump up. I need to put a step in here for him, don't I? And his back end seems a little bit droopy, and oh my goodness, Rusty, we're both getting old. Oh, good boy. Yes, as I was saying, I think upside down in the broad bean bed, that harvest, you know, that, and it's in a way, blah, 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 like I was saying with the garlic, about, you know, preserving our best harvests, and preserving things fresh as we can. So I could, in a way, it'd be more sensible, stay in the garden, sit and pod everything now. Two things of that: it's really quite warm out here. Sunshine, I could find a shady spot, but then it'll take me ages. By the time I get home, they'll have been out of their pods an hour, 2 hours maybe, possibly even more. So what I'm going to do is, and I brought the granny trolley today on purpose. It was a granny trolley and one bag of seedlings, more peppers. Just fill up the granny trolley, get it home, get them podded at home, and as I pod, you know, just whack them straight into the freezer, apart from any that are really young and tender, so that I'm going to have those later on for my supper to have. Oh, get bread on the way home, Vivi, to have my broad bean mash on toast. So that's what I'll do. And actually there's other stuff I wanted to chat about. Nothing major. That's it with the shocks and surprises this year. Just little things that have been going on the high street and bits and bobs. So I think we might end up having a podding and chatting session together. So if you've got some podding to do, yeah, let's pod our beans together and I'll chat. So for now, for today, from the garden, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Actually the bank holiday weekend will have gone by the time you see this, but happy garden time to you all. Happy podding, happy harvesting. It's great to get the first harvest in, isn't it? Yeah. Lots of love to you all. See you soon. Probably indoors podding, but until then, please look after yourselves, look after each other, smile at strangers in the high street. Cheerio, lovelies.